This episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast is brought to you by Insightful Accountants Be Insightful membership program. Get 9 expert-led training tracks, over 30 CPE hours a year, hands-on workshops, and year-round premium content to grow your skills and your practice. Learn more at blog.insightfulaccountant.com. Just click the premium member content button.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. It's an App Academy where our sponsors, ADP, Bill.com, as you may know them, and Digits will showcase their solutions designed to strengthen your firm. Without further delay, Heather, it is all yours. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our attendees.
All right, great. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for investing some time with myself. Heather, I run points on the design and execution of ADP's accountant channel. I got some great players on my side, whether it's on my marketing, my service, my product development team. We are here to help you navigate what happens out there in the workplace and how you as an accounting professional can maybe drive some data-driven conversations based on what is happening out there in the world of payroll. So what I would tell you is, in all the years that ADP has been around, and we've embarked on our 76th year, there is one thing that we know for sure, and that is anything can change the world of work. Whether it's a new technology, a new competitor, a new headline that's out there, that is how fast and furious and rapid business owners and yourselves, the most trusted advisor, need to make sure that you're staying current with what is going on from a compliance perspective, and how can I digest the information, navigate the information, and make sure ultimately I'm taking care of the most important asset being the employee. So what I will share with you is that the better data you have in your payroll, in your bookkeeping analysis, the better insights you're going to have, which creates that foundation for getting the payroll and the talent strategy right. So this can really fuel that human aspect of advisory when you think about compliance, the people, and the tech. Now with AI, which seems to be the trend out there, you can't go to a conference, a trade show, or any sort of learning application without hearing where AI is fitting into the profession. I will tell you that I do like to always look at the positive in different scenarios. And I love the fact that in some of our recent research, we are figuring out that obviously workers are starting to realize that AI is definitely going to change the way they do their job. But how that's going to change is what varies. And I want to point this out from your lens as the accountant, as the bookkeeper. And I want to give you the positive aspect over on the right-hand side of the screen that indicates that 70% of the people that are starting to think about AI and its application, there's a level of excitement, because when you think of the change, potentially those skills are going to advance all of our careers. So whenever I take you through any sort of demonstration, or I talk about the technology or the service experience that we have over at ADP, I want to marry it up to the conditions of what's happening out there in the workforce. And there are 4 things that are current. So as we look at the technology, I'm going to marry these 4 things up to where it is that you can extract some of the data pertaining to whether it's the big, beautiful bill, how many states are jumping into retirement a little bit more aggressively with Secure 2.0. We are hiring talented people beyond just our location. So if you're an accountant that is helping out your clients, most likely the days of having employees just where that business is are probably changing, and we're seeing multi-state workers out there in the market. And with that workforce, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily want to navigate a traditional W-2 type employee environment. We're seeing a big rise in gig workers, and that means 1099 contractors are out there in that freelance market. So as we look at the technology, I want you to think, okay, who's going to drive the awareness? Who's going to keep myself informed as the accountant? And then how am I going to take that message over to my clients? Because ultimately, we all need to lead through the change, figure out who's going to take the responsibility to do what aspect that needs to be accomplished. But ultimately, all of our goal is to figure out how we protect the business. So payroll, kind of like the tipping point, If I were to rewind and look back, there was that then aspect where you had a lot of manual data and processing. But now in a current environment, much of this could be driven by AI, and that could power that workflow and the automation. Looking back, there was a lot of compliance and payroll accuracy that needed to be taken care of, but in more of a strategic role, you all have the opportunity to advance and dip into more of an advisory and consultative role. So in the past, a lot of the visibility was limited into the payroll data, and now you're going to see everything's at your fingertips. So whatever you need at any given moment, with your client's approval, especially the clients you share at ADP, you have access to that information, not just in a static environment, but in a way that's going to be really meaningful to give you and serve up some things that are applicable to those 4 different trends that I shared with you. So gone are the days of being reactive. We're putting you in the driver's seat to be proactive. So for those of you who use our Run Payroll engine on the small business side, there's 900,000 clients that we do the payroll for. When we think about AI and when we build our product, right now, we're trying to intercept as many potential errors that could possibly occur. So your clients are probably great at their craft of being a painter, a general contractor, a doctor, they own a hair salon. But when they come in to run the payroll, if they're the ones running the payroll, they still may put things in the wrong spot. And we want to intercept as many of those scenarios as possible so that those payrolls are always run clean. So the AI and the inspector piece to the payroll application that we built in Run is pretty new. It's pretty cool. And we've already intercepted 7 million potential errors since that feature became a reality. But when I look at some of the things to consider, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you right in, if it's okay with you guys, to Accountant Connect. Many of you use the application today. So I'm going to sign into the demo here. Okay. Many of you sign into your access already that's out there. I'm just going to bring you into the demo environment, which is a mirror image of what you all would see today. So here's the 4 things that I'm going to show. So let's try that again. The 4 things I'm going to surface that are current. Before I do that, just a reminder, if you need us, I want to make sure you know where to find us if you ever need support, especially this time of year as we slide into year end and start guiding into that like tax season perspective for the accountants who are joining us. You all have access to our accountant help desk. They're awesome. You could ignite a service request, which is this ticket right over here. That'll open up the ability to let us know what's going on, share any secure information, anything that needs to be uploaded over to the ADP system. And then you can track it along the way and make sure that you're good to go. And then also, if you need somebody on the spot in the field, our salespeople are out there, you see them, you get to know them personally, but they will interact with your clients directly as you onboard any of those clients over to the ADP experience. So hopefully we get them into your dashboard in Accountant Connect. So in Accountant Connect, the goal is for you to obviously connect to your clients. We have 80,000 accountants that have registered for the experience, so many of you are probably in here today. You most likely live in the area of the reports and tax forms where you let us know your client, you let us know the report that you're looking for, and we send it your way. But for today, here's what I want to make sure that you have an understanding of. With things like the Big Beautiful Bill, their Secure Act, things around gig workers, you can come into this area of advisory opportunities. And you can look from a compliance perspective, what is happening. And I'll give you an example. If I scroll down here, I see some things pertaining to insurance. I see some things pertaining to the bakery over here that potentially need some things from an HR perspective. But look at Anderson's Furniture. With the Big Beautiful Bill, 2 of the things from a payroll perspective that are kind of jumping off the page that businesses are getting ready for is how do I track and ensure that I have accuracy as it pertains to tips and as it pertains to overtime. So in this example here, if you have this client, Anderson Furniture, what we do is we look within the hourly rate of those employees. And we'll say to you, okay, this client of yours has 50% or 60% of their employees are hourly. And of those that are hourly, here's how many today have overtime. So that gives you an indication in your client base that, okay, if I'm going to need to track this now more so than ever before, let's get our clients ready and let's make sure that they have the right procedures or timekeeping aspect for their business to make sure that they are good to go. There's other examples in there as well. As here's the retirement example. So in this case, you may have someone that's in a state that's mandated for retirement services. We'll share that information with you. So whether it's you or if you're on the bookkeeping side and you pass that along to the accountant that works with the client in terms of some of those other recommendations, you could go into the calculator functionality and you could start to run some real world examples of what it would look like under Secure.0 if that business started to put a retirement plan in place. Okay, so there's really good opportunities in here for advisory. We're taking the data that is true and genuine to the mutual clients that we share, and we're surfacing it up for you to be able to say, okay, what action is needed? This time of year, I'm also going to mention to you that you may have the opportunity to run payrolls for your clients that potentially are S Corps, and they only run payroll maybe once a year. So if you're going to do that, you're going to need to make sure that you're paying them, in essence, some reasonable compensation. So you can lean on the data cloud aspect of compensation benchmarking that will give you 30 million records of pay data. So I could go into a particular state, I could pick an industry, I could pick an even narrow down geographic area and look at the benchmarks in that specific industry and role type so I could see what those salaries look like. Because what you might have paid an owner within some of those businesses last year might look a little different this year based on things for whether it's inflation, wage growth, or just the geographic area where they reside. So one last thing I'm going to take you to, I think it's pretty relevant to the time of year as we kind of hone in on where it is that you do your research when some of these compliance opportunities arise. And I mentioned to you gig workers or freelancers, whatever it is that you call them in your world, but ultimately these are individuals where if you run the payroll or if you recommend ADP, the 1099s need to be accounted for and issued. So I mentioned ADP's been here 76 years. Let me give it to you straight up. For 76 years, we did not actually file 1099s. We would produce them, but then we would give them back to the accounting professional and say, okay, this client most likely had some 1099s outside the payroll arena. Here's what we have on the payroll side. You're probably going to match up with some other 1099s that were issued and then send them over to the IRS. Modern day, though, with some of the changes in the more stringent environment pertaining to contractors, we now have this full service offering to be able to pay your 1099s and file accordingly. Now, about a year or so ago, the IRS changed the threshold from, if I'm a business owner, it used to be that if they had 250 1099s, they needed to file electronically. That number dropped down drastically down to double digits. So that kind of forced the envelope a little bit for us to think about our product offering and where we needed to be in the market. But there's also some complexity around, well, hey, is this person a 1099? Are they a contractor? So where I am now in Accountant Connect, I am in the CCH engine, the Answer Connect aspect of Accountant Connect. So our way of thanking accounting professionals who we work with is when you come into Accountant Connect, you actually have over $10,000 of research capabilities within Accountant Connect. So at this time of year, our associates go out there and we typically take your orders for the physical copy of the Master Tax Guide. That happens usually end of October into early November, and then we deliver the guides out in the market week of Thanksgiving into early December. But all of us in Accountant Connect have access to the experience where you can use the CCH research engines that are updated continuously based on what is happening out there from compliance. So you can see if I just put in like 1099 contractors, I'm going to get back the most recent intel and articles. So as an example, there used to be a 5-part test that if I'm going to be W-2 or 1099, you would answer those questions and it would gear you into that direction. It's now a 6-part test. So just an example that if you want to stay on top Make sure you have a pulse as to what's going on from a compliance perspective so that you can make decisions, you can guide your clients, and you can ultimately make sure that they are paid accurately. And you have the supporting structure beyond just the payroll, whether it's insurance, retirement, HR, how I onboard, all the way through getting them into your organization and keeping them in your organization. Everything really starts right here with your access into Accountant Connect, into the dashboard, and know that all of this is now backed in a world where we build on our infrastructure and fuel all of that powered by AI. So I'm hoping this little overview here gives you a glimpse of where we are modern day as things change. And we expect that next anything, we are joining forces with accountants to make sure that we can keep you in a great place to ensure that your practice continues to excel, and that we're here along the way to make sure that ultimately we best serve our mutual clients so that they can continue to do what they are good at. And we're all just there to support them and taking care of the way that they pay their employees, they get their employees, and they keep them. So that's all I have in terms of a demonstration on the ADP side. And hey, I look forward to seeing everyone, whether it's in Vegas at the upcoming conference. Many of us are going down to Orlando. 'Tis the season. So if you see our team, feel free to make an introduction to myself or any members of the team, and we look forward to continuing the dialogue.
Hey, Heather, one quick question. Where do people do want to learn more about ADP? Where can they go?
I would just start with adp.com/accountant. That'll kind of navigate you to the different aspects, whether it's into Accountant Connect, or we also launched our Accountant Connect Resource Center, which is where all of our thought leadership and our CPE curriculum and certifications are housed. But if you start at adp.com/accountant, you could get to us from that landing place, and it'll tell you more about our programs in detail.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Are you an accounting or tax professional who wants to stay ahead without spending a dime? Join thousands who trust insightful accountant and tax practice news to keep them informed and empowered. Get expert updates on QuickBooks, Xero, tax planning strategies, and workflow tips delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're a solo bookkeeper, firm leader, or tax advisor, these newsletters are your shortcut to what's next in the profession. They're free, practical, and built for people like you. Visit insightfulaccountant.com and hit subscribe to start your smarter workflow today for free.